So today I kind of want to ask a question. Has Panasonic abandoned the GH7? I wanted to ask this question because I bought this thing back when the pre-orders went live, because it was essentially an upgrade to my GH5 in practically every way. It had way better dynamic range, better color science, better overall video codecs, internal RAW, incredible stabilization, and just it goes on and on and on. For the first time, I'm able to record videos like this without having to worry about my videos being out of focus because the autofocus is actually good. You know, even with adapted lenses, this is using the 18 to 35 with a Metabone speed booster to get the field of view and shallow depth field, and the image that I get out of this thing is absolutely fantastic, and I couldn't be happier with that. But one thing I have noticed, and I'm not sure if you guys realize this as well, this camera had a grand total of 3 updates within the past year. 2 of the updates being just bug fixes, and the third being a parity update between the G9 II, S5 II, S9, where they added like frame markers in MP4 Lite that's only 30 frames per second for some reason. I'm not really sure what the deal with that is, but okay. And a couple other little things here and there. Improvements with the autofocus system and all that stuff. But since then, there's been some updates that I think are very substantial that need to come to this camera. Given the fact that the GH7 is the flagship Micro Four Thirds camera, like I get it, it's Micro Four Thirds, it's obviously not as popular as their full frame line, and Panasonic is very focused on implementing different features into their full frame line. It makes complete sense that they're focused on that, right? But I think it's really important to make sure these specific features are added to their flagship Micro Four Thirds camera, at least in my opinion. So here's a couple things I would like to see added to the GH7. This list most likely has been reiterated a couple times on other YouTube channels, but I wanted to spread the word and get these things out there. Number one is false color. False color essentially allows you to see the different lighting values of your scene, so essentially assigns different colors to different exposures on your scene. So I would love to see that feature implemented into the body. I think it makes complete sense given that this is the video-centric camera and the Micro Four Thirds lineup. I would absolutely love to see that implemented in this camera. It's very useful for filmmakers who are looking to expose their footage, although EL Zone is superior, but besides the fact, I would love to see that added to the GH7. Cine-like A2. I would love to see this picture profile added to the GH7 as well. As far as I know, it takes a log C3 image, converts it to Rec 709, and uses that sort of color science right into the camera. So you get higher dynamic range while not having to do much editing in post, meaning you can get a very nice image right off the bat. This profile is very similar to the Cine-like D picture profile, except to a lot of people, people really like the way that image looks coming out of the newer S1R and S1 II cameras. So I would love to see Cine-like A2 added to the GH7, considering this already has RE-Log C3 support. It would just make complete sense. I will also like to see some updates regarding the USB webcam support. Given that, as far as I know, this is just a USB standard, most cameras should be able to output a signal to your computer that gives video signal out there. Since you're able to record SSDs, I don't see why this camera couldn't have that as well. I will also like to see some MP4 Lite higher frame rates and lower frame rates. I would love to see 24p in MP4 Lites, and I would like to see 60p in MP4 Lite if that's possible, whether they have to line skip or whatever they have to do on the sensor in order to get OpenGate 60 frames per second. I would just like to see some way to get OpenGate 60 frames per second on this camera, whether you have to turn off DR boost or something like that. It'd just be convenient to have in this body. And I would just overall like to see more updates when it comes to autofocus, maybe adding in the future, AI subject detection, so it just automatically switches between different subjects without having to go into the menu and then choosing which one you want. I would love to see that in the future. So yeah, those are my sort of things I would like to see in the GH7. It's not like this camera is really lacking much in terms of, features. I think it still is very feature rich and it's going to last for years to come. That's not the point. It's just the point that, Panasonic released a couple other new cameras within the span of a year. This camera's not that old, and the fact that it has been getting like no actual firmware support has been very concerning to me, considering that what this thing offers and what people expect from Lumix. Usually they're pretty on the ball with firmware updates, and it just hasn't been the case for this camera. So maybe that will change in the future. Maybe we'll see some updates and stuff like that regarding those specific features, but as far as I know right now, there hasn't been any updates for it, so I hope at the very least they haven't abandoned the system. I understand full frame is gaining traction, it makes sense, but there's still value in the smaller sensor cameras when this is probably one of their best cameras in their whole entire lineup, besides obviously their S1 series. I think it's better than the S5 IIX overall. I would just love to see certain updates to improve the overall experience. So yeah, that's my little list. Hope you all enjoyed. Check out my other channels where I talk about video games and stuff like that. And as always, hope you all have a wonderful day. Peace.